So I reattached the neck, that went on well. That was kind of the final straw with the other pick guard, was that it was cut wrong for the neck. Just screwing in these 6 screws. I'm definitely going to float this tremolo just a little bit this time. Okay, that at least has some vibration room. And now, I taped the old spring down. Say, this was much easier on the Wilkinson system. I'm going to back these screws out. Leads me to believe that maybe this is way, way out of whack. They clearly just took this trim spring claw and stuck it all the way down onto the body in the factory. Probably made setup easier. Hopefully we can fix this in post. Good. Golly, Miss Molly. Woof. Alright. Now my ground wire has come off. Also, I have to say, this is without a doubt the single cheapest piece of wire I have ever seen. I really should have put a much stouter ground wire on that, but I did not. Okay. We'll leave the back plate off for now, because that is going to need redoing after I string it up. Okay, you've all seen guitar stringing before, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that off camera. Okay, here you can see I have put on just the high and low E strings. That's so I can check the alignment of the strings along the neck and have them where I think they look pretty good. So I will mark the nut there. I need a mechanical pencil, which I, for some reason, do not keep out in the shop. So I will go get a nice fine mechanical pencil, mark that, and then sand down the ends so they don't stick out over the edges like that. So we can get a good look at that. I've sanded off the ends of the nut. It's not super elegantly shaped. I've never done that before. But the strings are equidistant from both sides of the fretboard, and that is where I want them. So, I think I am ready to put in the rest of the strings. It's obvious that this nut is going to need a little filing, and we will do that after I get it strung up. Okay, I have it all strung up. I can tell that the height of the nut slots is way, way off, so I've got a nice set of nut files. You can also use sandpaper, but that's a little imprecise. I don't know about you guys, but I always find the process of filing down the nut to be really nerve-wracking, because of course if you file it too low, then you're just kind of out of luck. So, in the meantime, it is, although badly, playable. It's still worse playable than it was before, if I'm being honest. And the pickups already sound light years better than the pickups that were in it before. I'll withhold judgment on whether this entire exercise was actually worth it until I finish up the project. So I am tired. I'm going to give this a night, let the strings sit in overnight, give them a good stretch in the morning, and we'll go over it again. Back in the shop, it's been a couple of days. It's time to go to work some more on this nut. If you don't do your own setups, you may not realize just how important having a well-cut nut is to the playability of your guitar. The answer, it's super important. Said I always find this a little nerve-wracking. Don't want to cut the nut too low. But you can really feel the difference in finger pressure needed. Just fret a note at the first fret. A well-cut nut takes very little effort. A nut that's too high, you really have to press down. And that really applies to the entire guitar. So you want to angle your fret down a little bit, your file a little bit down towards the headstock. And just do a little bit at a time. Can't put material back. Also, I know there are a lot of people that watch these videos that are much better at this stuff than I am, so if anybody has any good tips on filing nuts, put them in the comment section, please. I would love to get some tips on how to do a better job at this. I know there are some tools. Stu Mack sells a kit which is supposed to prevent you from filing your nut slots too low. I've never tried it. It's an interesting thought. If anyone has used it, let me know. Or if you have any other good tricks. So, let me say, just a little bit at a time. I could probably put that lower, but I'm going to leave it there and continue working. It's already half the tension of the strings that I have not yet worked on the nut, so that's a good sign. Alright, so I can't imagine anybody actually wants to watch me do 6 strings in real time. I'm going to pause this and we'll come back once I'm through with my filing. There are lots of videos online about how to set up your guitar. I saw a video with a Fender master builder who used the acronym TRAIN. Tune, relief, action, intonation, and then I think for in he used noodle. And since that's nice and easy to remember, that's the way I've done it ever since. So, it's tuned. Now I'm going to check the relief. Some people can check the relief by looking at it. I use a straight edge. So here I have a notched straight edge, and don't know if it'll show up on the camera there, but that is just about dead flat. So you want a little bit of relief. So you want so this is where we run into design issues. So you see, this Glarry guitar has 2 string trees. Well, here's a standard length Allen wrench, or hex key if you would, that you would use to adjust the truss rod. Well, guess what? If you insert it into the truss rod cavity, it actually rests right on that string tree. That is not going to make this job easier. But if I take the string tree off, it changes the length of the string, which means I need to retune, which actually will change the string tension a little bit. Well, not the overall tension, but it changed the tension point. So I may just leave it at super flat. The question is, how does it perform at super flat? Actually, not bad at all. So in this case, I'm just going to go with what Dan Erlewine said in another video I watched, where he said that he leaves it as flat as he can. So if it's good enough for Dan, it's good enough for me. For my action, I like to set it to 0.7 millimeters. So I have this lovely string action ruler, and that is about 0.8. So that needs to come down a little bit. Now, due to your fretboard radius, you do need to set the height of each string individually. Actually, all of the strings, that's interesting, all of the strings except the low E and A are about the height I like them. So, not bad. We'll just reduce the height on these saddles a little bit. I bet they've got them set up that high so that it doesn't buzz. I always forget, every time you do something that changes the string tension, then you have to re-intonate. Sorry, my shop's getting a little dusty. Okay, good enough for this. Still ever so slightly too high on the E. But the A is not bad. The others are acceptable. Let me try that E string out. Okay. All right. Actually, I'm just going to leave it at that. That was an adjustment about 0.05. So just a tiny, tiny little adjustment, about a turn of the thread on each of the adjustment screws. Everything's in tune. Good. Now, check my intonation. This is actually the part of setting up a guitar that's most annoying for me. You tune it, then check the tuning at the 12th fret. Depending on whether it's sharp or flat, you increase or decrease your saddle length, and then you have to retune it and check it again. And you just keep doing that until they are equal. So you want as on tune as you can get. And that is not bad at all. It is just a hair too high. So when it's too high, we reduce string tension by going forward. Just a little bit. Then you tune back up to pitch. Then we tune at the 12th fret. Okay, and then you lather, rinse, repeat over and over and over again. So I'm going to pause the video while I do that and get my intonation all at least as in tune as I can get it. Alright, so here's the completely redone project. New pickups, new pots, new switch. I have floated the vibrato. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. Have new tuners on it. You know, the fretwork is actually really not bad at all. Kind of surprisingly so. So like I said, the wood on these Glarrys, super cheap, but not bad. It's just the hardware is junk. Oh, new nut. So, relatively intonated. And before, before the vibrato wouldn't move at all because it was just screwed down tight to the body. So I wonder now, I know it's not plugged in because I want to be able to check my tuning. So, oops. And here my G string is binding a little bit at the nut. So I need to give it a little bit more filing, but yeah, it dropped it about a few cents anyway. So even with all the upgrades, I don't know that I would really be using the whammy bar much on this. Okay, so let me talk again about whether I think this type of project is worth it. Worth it. Well, it depends on what you want. If you just want a guitar that plays well and sounds good, get a better guitar. If you enjoy the process, if you want a hobby and you enjoy spending time in the shop and messing around with guitars and getting them all set up, then yeah, of course it's worth it. That still leaves the question though. My original idea was that I would scallop this fretboard. Because I've always kind of wanted to experiment with a scallop fretboard. And if you're going to scallop a fretboard, why not do it on a $70 guitar versus a neck which cost $120 up? I don't know. I think I'm going to take this inside and plug it in, see how it sounds, spend a little time just playing around with it, and then decide if I'm going to scallop this fretboard. Also, if I scallop it, at least I'll find out if this is actual rosewood. It doesn't feel like rosewood. It's incredibly soft. But the reason rosewood is called rosewood is because when you sand or cut it, you get this incredible rose aroma that comes out of the wood. So I guess we'll find out pretty quickly if I take some sandpaper to it. I'm probably going to. Let's take it inside and plug it in and see what I think. Alright, there seems something weird about playing a $70 guitar through my big rig, so I decided to bring in my Positive Grid Spark. And there are a lot of great videos out there on the Spark. I may do one of my own in the future if I can decide that I have something original to say about it. But the Spark is a fantastic little amplifier. I know they call it a practice amplifier, but man, I would think that for 99% of home users, the Spark is probably all the amplifier you would ever need. So make an interesting comparison with the recording on my big rig earlier. All right, so this is the neck pickup to the Spark's clean setting, which, as you can hear, includes a lot of delay and probably a little chorusing. I'm just going to go neck, middle, and bridge. It was in tune when I started. It's already starting to drift. Okay, let's hear it on the crunch. Actually, I'm sorry, this is their glassy setting, which is based on an AC30. Should have brought a strap out. It's the bridge, middle. This is the crunch. Bridge. Middle. And neck. And just for fun, we'll put it on the metal setting. Not going to bother with the neck pickup on that. So, that actually sounds pretty good. I know it's just a very, very brief tone test to show you that, yeah, the upgrades make it sound considerably better. I wish it stayed in tune better. It's a much colder day today than it was a couple of days ago, and these strings are still pretty new. I have stretched them some. So maybe as the strings and wood acclimate to the temperature, it'll get better. But, you know, I bought this super cheap guitar in order to scallop the fretboard. So that's what I'm going to do, because I think I'm almost certain to ruin my first attempt at a scallop fretboard. And if you're going to ruin a guitar, ruin a $70 guitar as opposed to, you know, a much more expensive, like a Warmoth neck would be, you know, $120. That's 1.5 times the price of this guitar. It's insane. All right, more than 1.5. So there we go. I think the decision's made. I'm going to scallop this fretboard, but not today. Going to watch a lot of videos on how to scallop fretboards and then plan my attack. I think I'll probably use a Dremel. That seems to be a nice, easy way to do it. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So, scallop fretboard is coming up next. So scalloping this fretboard is going to be a pretty involved process. I'll probably do that as its own video. Yeah, this one's going to be a little disjointed. I apologize for that. I didn't have a really strong concept in mind when I started it. It's all kind of off the cuff. So I'm going to edit this up and put it out there, and then I'll do the scalloping as a follow-up video. I hope that you are interested enough to watch how that goes. It could be a complete train wreck. On the other hand, I could end up with a $70 Ritchie Blackmore shred machine. Can't play like Ritchie Blackmore, or Yngwie Malmsteen for that matter, but what the heck, it's the journey that counts, right? So, I'll see you in a couple of weeks maybe. In the meantime, thanks for hanging out at the shop. I've been Reed. This is Man Cave Guitar Pedal Mania.